Salutations and welcome to this special presentation of the Lanterns post-game show talking about the new DC series Lanterns. We are now, of course, on episode 2. Didn't do one of these for episode 1 because I wanted to make sure that I actually liked the show before we committed to doing any post-game shows on it. I'm joined by Robert Meyer Burnett here, who's been watching it as well.
Greetings. John, I did quite enjoy this episode the way I enjoyed episode 1. I'm excited to talk about it.
I'll tell you, I'm not liking the show. I'm freaking loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And so what we're going to do here now, guys, is we are just, it's going to keep it really simple. We're just going to talk about the episode for the next 20 minutes or so. And then we'll take your live observations, comments, theories that you guys have been sending in to the super chats there. We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, so obviously we really liked episode 1. Episode 1, I thought was a great introduction to the world. The whole starting in, I think it was, 2006 they started in with the dad, and then they jumped to 2016. Then by the end of the episode, they jumped to 2026 with, of course, Hal sitting in that same football stadium with a bullet hole in his head. John sporting the more recognizable goatee by the end there. The sheriff who hadn't aged a single day. It's funny because at the end there, she says to John, "You haven't aged at all." It's like, she look exactly the same. They didn't even pretend to age her up at all. But that's fine. That's fine. So anyway, so we got through the first episode. So we're going to jump right into episode 2. And I don't know, Rob, if we want to go scene by scene or just talk in general about the things we liked. Why don't we do that? Why don't we talk about the things we liked, the things we didn't like? And we'll go from there. And let's go back and forth. I'll do one, then you do one, and we'll go that way. Thing number 1 that I absolutely loved: the dragging the bodies through the metal detector.
The alien detector.
It wasn't he realized he's going back and forth. This isn't going, and then he figures it out. He goes. First of all, it's hilarious that he's literally just stealing bodies out of a morgue. All right, just stealing bodies out of the morgue. And then dragging through. I just thought that was hilarious. And then the follow up with it at the end when Jon Stewart, who obviously is the one who must have rented the car, and he's like, "You're going to want to check the insurance on the car because not only is the front grill gone, but it's got all these alien blood stains in the car." Oh my God. I thought it was ripping hilarious, which did reveal there's another whole mystery here. And Hal noticed it, but why is nobody in the hospital? Nobody's there.
And the equipment's covered like it's brand new.
Yeah. But there's a morgue, but there's nobody attending anything. So he takes advantage of that. Anyway, I loved that scene. So let me throw it over. It was something you loved. It doesn't have to be a scene. It can be just an approach or a line, whatever. Something that stood out to you that you really loved about the episode.
I loved the introduction of the lantern. I love the fact that the power ring was out of charge, and I love the fact, it's a multi-dimensional, it's a wormhole.
It's a pocket universe, which is a callback to Superman, of course.
Yeah. And just stick your hand around and you'll find it. And I like the fact that the lantern looked the way it looked.
Looks great.
I didn't have some, weird future science. It had sort of this retro. It felt like something you'd find in a lighthouse in the 18th century that you'd have to light up with fire. And, I love when he just stuck the ring up to it and he's like, no evil can escape. And I said, and he's just like, I got to say it, but it's not like he said it. This is Hal Jordan is a Green Lantern who's been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he's over it, man. He's seen it all. He's done it all. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people have talked about, at least people have come to me and said, it's not what I wanted. And for me, I find that sort of interesting because as a comic book reader and having read so many iterations of these characters throughout the years, and in the early 80s when I started buying comics again, one of the things that really struck me was Green Lantern's road trip with Green Arrow across the United States. That was Denny O'Neil and the very famous run from the 70s. It was not cosmic. It was a lot like what we're seeing now, but Jon Stewart's in the Oliver Queen role. And so for me, it's people are like, well, it's not what I wanted. But for me, it's harking back to when I first really discovered the character in the pages of comic books, when I started reading comic books again when I was 13, 14 years old, and they reprinted these in Baxter editions. And so I'm going back and I am having an experience like, wow, this is the Green Lantern of the 70s, man. And except Hal Jordan, you've added the fact that he's now been Green Lantern for 30 years and he's kind of off his rocker a little bit. You know, he's kind of like he
yet still very good at his job.
Very good at his job. Like he knows what's up, but he's the kind of guy that, like, whether the ring is working or not, he will just go do what he has to do. He'll go take those bodies out of the morgue, drag them, and just to because he can't ask anybody. It's not like he can't even involve Jon Stewart, because what he's doing is protecting Jon Stewart, because he realizes I got to keep this guy at arm's length, because he knows he's in over his head. He knows whatever's going on, it's bad. So he wants to make sure, while he's kind of, he, in a way, he's kind of like Jack's. He's the Jack's. It's Hal Jordan is Jack Sparrow, who he's kind of doing
a little more
thing.
Gruff.
Yeah, but he's more
more
he's
gruff
doing
and more competent.
Yeah, doing it. Well, Jack Sparrow just feigned his incompetence, but Hal Jordan's not. But like when he walked in, another thing, when he walked into the town meeting.
Oh, that was so funny.
I mean, it's weird because his performance is not what you'd expect. It's a great performance, but he's doing something that you wouldn't expect from Hal Jordan. You expect Hal Jordan to be Maverick with a ring. He's not like that.
Yeah, well, this is a Hal Jordan who's been through it, who's seen it all, and there's something going on between him and the Guardians too. Obviously, there's something that broke the relationship there, and we'll get into that. By the way, can I just say, I find people who say it's not what I wanted, and I'm not just talking about lanterns, I find those people to be fucking insufferable. It's like anything. It's not what I want. Shut the fuck up. Like if you're a movie or TV fan, the only thing you should be approaching. I mean, do we have expectations to it? Yes, but you're supposed to leave all that at the door. All you should be looking for is something that's good. Is it good? That's the only thing we should be asking. And again, the people say it's not what I wanted. I just find completely insufferable, and I know to delete them from my contacts list.
But I think that but everybody understands, like, if your first experience with the DC universe was Justice League International, you have a very there's an expectation of how the DC universe should always be portrayed, because that was the first way you came to it. And so the Jon Stewart and Justice League International looms large. So I can understand, it's like people that love their James Bonds, whoever found which James Bond at what point in their lives, that depiction of James Bond becomes their North Star. And I understand that. But what I also don't get is, as a comic book fan, I've seen so many writer-artist reinterpretations of the characters. Like when Jeff Johns came in and created this whole new overarching mythology, like the Sinestro Corps War and all the different colored rings and all that. And that was a whole different era of Green Lantern. That was not the era that I grew up with. So I think when you watch a show like this, you've got to go in and take it at face value for what it's doing. It's doing something different than Justice League International, or different than Denny O'Neil's Green Lantern, or different than this. You have to meet it on its own terms. You can't bring your expectations in, because you're not being fair to the creators. And anybody who was a comic book fan knew that any writer-artist team that was going to come on and reinvent whatever character you liked, sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't. So I think what they're doing with this is really intriguing. It's really interesting.
And look, the other point of this too is that whenever you're saying, well, it's not what I wanted, then here's what you're doing. You're saying what you wanted should have taken precedent over what everybody else wanted, because everybody wanted something different. Everybody wants something different. So, because guess what? Look, to me, Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. Jon Stewart's a nice little add-on, another Earth realm that's nice. But to me, Hal Jordan is Green Lantern, and I want Hal Jordan to be center of this whole DCU. I mean, not over Superman and Batman, but I want Hal Jordan to be the Green Lantern of the DCU. Okay, they're not doing that. All right, so show me what you got. And just appreciate it or not appreciate it for what it is, not for what you wanted it to be. But anyway, we'll put that aside because that's not really talking about the episode. The big mystery, I think, coming out of this right now, and there's several. What's the breakdown in the relationship between Hal and the Guardians? I mean, obviously, because we saw the trailers where Guy Gardner is saying to him, like, they're going to come after you. They're going to come gunning for you and like all that kind of stuff. I think he's talking about the Guardians coming for what. And we also saw the other things where Guardians literally talking to John Stewart, basically.
Laura Linney, man.
Yeah, basically letting him know. Yeah, Hal's time is up. Hal's time is up. So something happened there that made him stop backing up his imprint 10 years earlier. So that's a big mystery. But obviously the big one they kind of introduce here is the Manhunter. It's somebody in the town. It's clearly somebody who John Ritter's kid's dad is playing in the show, the rancher dude. So there's several theories. Here are my two favorite theories, and then I want to hear yours. First theory, and these are in no particular order. First theory. It's the woman John slept with. It's the guy's wife.
For sure.
That is a strong theory. I really like that theory because she immediately knows exactly, like when John Stewart meets her in the bar, she's not taken by what she figures. She knows it. She's got it figured out and she wants to get close to him. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very, very good, but here's the other one that I like even more. John Stewart's dad. John Stewart's dad.
Ooh.
Because remember, according to the timeline that they set up, whenever the Lanterns, if it was the Lanterns, brought the Manhunter to Earth or let him go or whatever happens, it was prior to Hal getting the ring. So that's like when John Stewart was confronting him with it, he's like, the Lanterns wouldn't have done that. Well, looks like they did, and so... And now it's probably neither of them, but the two theories that are out there right now that I really like are number one, the wife in no particular order. And then the second one is John Stewart's dad. Those ones kind of, do you have any theories? Have you heard any good theories about who the Manhunter might be?
First of all, there's an actor named Paul Ben-Victor who I've loved. I edited a movie back in the 90s that he was in that nobody's ever heard of. But he was the guy that was questioning John Stewart. That guy.
Oh, yes.
That actor, Paul Ben-Victor. I've always loved him as an actor. But I don't have a theory. But the thing is, it always bothered me that they just casually showed a father put an apple on his son's head and shoot a gun in his face. Now we thought, okay, we're going to teach a kid how to not have fear. And clearly he had been trained by his father enough. His father was grooming him to become a Green Lantern from the time he was born. So I would imagine the father doing something like, no father shoots a gun at your kid's head. And a lot of people criticize that. And we saw that what we have coming up, we're going to see flashbacks to his childhood again, I think, as it were, coming along. And I think my favorite theory, since you told it to me now, I didn't hear it before, is the fact that it was John Stewart's father. And what I love is the Manhunters are really a part of Green Lantern mythos. I mean, the Manhunters were created by the Guardians pre-Lanterns. So so for the people that are, this really is a deep dive into Green Lantern continuity. So when people say, well, it's not my Green Lantern, I'm like, you're going in deep into the comics. I mean, John Stewart's been around since the early 70s, and that character was only created 10 years after Hal Jordan was. So they've really gone deep into DC mythology on this show. And you know what? I never thought about John Stewart's father as being the Manhunter. I think he's been grooming that kid since birth to become a Green Lantern so he could infiltrate the Lanterns again. and that's going to be the Jon Stewart moment. And by the way, another thing, just to bring it up, I love the conceit of the bird.
Oh yeah, because it introduces
love
something that
this.
already shouldn't be. Like I love when little devices are put in stuff that are fish out of water, things that should not be, right? And the whole thing that he was able to construct this bird and maintain it without the ring through sheer force of will. I mean, so there's a little bit of
That's why the Guardians picked him. That's his willpower is that strong.
Well, there's a little bit of a Neo the One kind of feeling to it, right?
For sure.
And maybe that connects into his father being a manhunter or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know what's okay? So here's a little bit of a theory that might be a little bit more out in left field. I remember in episode 1 when I think what's John Ritter's kid's name? Is it Jason Ritter? I think it's Jason Ritter.
Yes.
Who's also wonderful in Matlock, by the way. He's one of the stars of Matlock, and he's really good in it. But I remember when he goes, Dad's in the kitchen, and then they go in and see his dad. I'm like, that dude is not Jason Ritter's father. That dude at most is a slightly older brother at most. So one of the kind of out there things is that Jason Ritter is the manhunter. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
that's interesting.
That brings a lot of possible conflicts with what about his wife, and what would the sheriff know and not know?
Or it's the sheriff. It's she's the manhunter.
Maybe the sheriff. Well, I mean, I would have thought that would be a valid theory, except that she's there in 2026. So I'm assuming they solve the manhunter problem in 2016 that we'll find out by the end of the show. And by the way, I
have a theory, by the way.
Okay, I think you're about to say the same thing I was about to say. Go ahead.
I think Hal Jordan left his duplicate body on Earth as his calling card.
Yep, and that's again, they would have to change some things because he's just a visual construct, right? But there is a very
he's an alien that looks like him. It's an actual entity that's been killed.
Okay, so the two theories that I really like are, number one, they go out of their way in episode 1 to say, how many species have the ability to completely pass off as human? 14 that can withstand X-rays and blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's a coincidence that they very clearly laid that egg there. And then at the end, so I don't think it's Hal. Whether it's a physical manifestation of his imprint from the ring, or whether it's it's an alien taking his place. Because remember, he also looked at his hand right away, and not only was there no ring, there was no ring mark on his finger. That may or may not mean anything, and it may or may not have actually been Hal, but I am subscribing to the theory that a lot of people had that that's not Hal.
Right.
So just a guess here. I also think Hal is not a forgive and forget kind of guy. So I think we're going to get a really cool scene of Hal kicking some militia's ass. I think he's going to go back to that thing and probably just a little spanking just to remind you I'm a Green Lantern sort of thing. At least I hope we get that. I'm excited for that.
And if he does that, they might bring out the alien technology to fight him.
The alien tech.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the house for a second. Because I was expecting him, I don't know why I shouldn't have, but when Jon Stewart shows up, I was expecting him to find some rundown little Glendale kind of, what the type of house that you'll find there, like a little very nonchalant, whatever. The fact that he gets there and finds this huge mansion. And I love the fact that there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
And Hal mentions that he'd already been there for years, which I thought was hilarious. Again, the pocket universe where he keeps the lantern. Great. What was the name of the pet? Earl? Is that
Earl,
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you because I don't have any recollection of Earl from the comics at all. Was that something in the comics? Or is that something they made up for the show to the best of your knowledge?
I think they made up for the show.
Okay.
But here, let me check. I mean, I don't, to me, it was like a whole, reference. Yeah. I don't think there's any Earl. There is no Green Lantern Earl.
Okay. So I really like that little thing.
It was like Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
Feed me, John.
That's what I thought. I mean, I thought we were going to get, like, it was going to talk to him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I did like that. And by the way, one of the story element, and this is a traditional trope that was used very, very well here.
John,
yes,
it is a part of the DC universe.
Oh, Earl is from the DC universe. Okay,
hang on. I'm just this. Maybe no. You know what? It was entered. Hang on. Let me look at this. Alien Flower, Early Life. Earl. You know what? I guess it's just from the TV show.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? It says it is from the show. So there is no.
So they created him for the show, which is great.
They created him for the show.
But here's something that they introduced in this episode that I thought is a wonderful trope that, if you use right, can be really effective to increase stakes and to increase tension. When that alien race kidnapped John and they implant into his head the memories of what they went through at the hands of the Manhunters.
Yeah.
And they give him a ticking clock. You got 48 hours. And if you don't, we're just going to nuke the whole town just to make sure we get the Manhunter. We are going to go there. And so the idea that they introduce in the show, now that there's this, it's like Star Wars in the trash compactor. Okay. They're down there. They got to figure out a way to get out, but they can't just take the sweet time because the walls are closing. And by doing that, they've introduced a sense of urgency. It's not just a matter of, my gut tells me there's something wrong in this town. Let's kind of hang around and figure it out. No, now there's a ticking clock. There's a distinct consequence now on the horizon that if you're going to save the people in this town, you're going to save this town, you got to do it quick. And I love that they're doing that as a story function. But secondly, I also love the fact that it's not making it global scale already. Like, I love the fact that we're going to blow up half that town, rather than we are going to blow up the planet Earth, like where everything has to be about the entire planet. And I like that the scale is on that level, and it gives it tension moving forward, and it creates a sense of urgency. So that was another thing I really liked.
Well, it also shows too, what I agree with you. It also shows why, like, Hal Jordan's not calling in the Justice Gang, or does he later? You know, because everyone's always talking about, why didn't so-and-so call the X-Men when the New York was being attacked in the Avengers? I mean, it's the same reason why police officers in LA don't call police officers in New York for help. You know, that's not how the world works. Hal Jordan's involved in this mystery, and
there is no Justice Gang at this point. It's 2016.
Right. That's right.
So the Superman hasn't even been introduced to the world yet. I mean, Clark's on Earth at that point, but he hasn't been introduced to the world yet, right? So there is no Justice Gang yet. He's it. I mean, like, he's the genesis of the superhero realm on Earth. It was when Green Lantern introduced himself to the world. It was their first introduction to something being supernatural in that way. And it was also their first introduction that they're not alone in the universe. So that's kind of the zenith of the beginning of it, which I think is pretty cool.
And also, why does Guy Gardner have the ring, but not Jon Stewart?
See,
that's going to be
is a question.
Yeah, dude, it's all
that
part
I've
of the show.
had from the very beginning of the marketing for this thing. It's like, there's just one ring. Nope, there's not. There are several rings. There are plenty of rings to go around. It's the Walmart of rings. And that's I was talking on my show today. Somebody was asking if I think they'll introduce Kyle Rayner in this series. And I don't think they will. And I am a Kyle Rayner fan, but I don't think they will, because one of the things, you know, when Hal's describing things and kind of explaining stuff, he said, listen, the Guardians didn't even want a Green Lantern of Earth, this backwater little planet. It's just the ring chose me, and whatever. They didn't even want. So we're going to go from that to there being 3 or 4 Green Lanterns from Earth, which is, of course, what they do have in the comics, but it's not the DCU that they've set up. So I don't know if we're going to get that. But yes, why is Guy there? Why does Guy have a ring? And does Guy and Jon Stewart have a ring? I'm assuming that they do. Or is there just one ring, and the ring that Guy has is the one that Hal did wear? or are there multiple rings? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle it in the show as opposed to the way they did it in the comics. So anyway, that's rather interesting too. All right. Anything about the show so far, and we'll break the rules here. We'll say we can include episode 1. Anything about the show so far, either in episode 1 or 2, that isn't quite working for you yet, or you're like, I want to see where they go with this. This seems a little weird. I don't know. Is there anything that's not quite clicking for you yet?
No,
You know what?
because
Me neither. Honestly, me neither.
yeah, I mean, I have to say that, look, I think the idea that you're bringing a cosmically powered superhero down to Earth to deal with a small town alien infiltration is really interesting. Because here's what I think is really fascinating about this. The James Gunn's Superman set up that the Earth understands that metahumans have been around and aliens exist. And they've known this for quite some time. And the fact that aliens are not necessarily unheard of on Earth, they've come to Earth before. And this small town, you've got a sheriff who knew aliens were here, is trying to keep the peace, trying to deal with, there's clearly things that she's not revealed yet. And I kind of love the idea that if aliens are real, and we saw in Supergirl, certainly they're real, and in Superman, they are real, then how would you deal with if aliens wanted to do some nefarious thing in a small town on Earth? You'd have to deal with that. And I kind of like how this earthbound crime story is being, you know what it reminded me of? The Alien Nation movie and the Alien Nation TV series. That's a lot better. The TV show is a lot better than people gave it credit for. But when you
a lot of people thought that was kind of the influence for District 9. It might have been an inspiration for District 9. Yeah,
totally. But it made aliens, immigrants, or they, lower class people. It was really interesting how they played that out, and it was very allegorical. But I just really dig the whole milieu. I dig this whole story to see where is this going to go, and what does it have to say. And I find it, I just want to see things that interest me and are smart. And I think that a lot of people that are making snap judgments as to whether or not who would endanger a child like this, well, maybe we'll know who would endanger a child like this. I don't know. But I think this show is just
abusive fathers would. And guess what? Those are real.
Yeah, that's true. And I just find this show really intriguing. I watch it. I have no idea where it's going to go. And I love that.
Yeah, I'm in the same place with you right now. I think there's so many possibilities. I think we're in episode 2, and I think we've just started to unravel everything. Like, I knew I was straight up in love with the show. Like, I was liking it right from the first scene and everything. But the moment I knew, okay, I am in love with the show, is when Jon Stewart, Kyle Chandler turns it to him and says, "What was that all about?" "I might have slept with his wife." "You might have?" "I definitely slept with his wife." Right there. That was the moment that the way that the chemistry, the lines between them, that was the moment I knew I was in love with the show. And right now, I haven't found anything that's a nitpick of mine yet. I mean, we still got to get further into the show, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, listen. We are now going to take our remaining time here to take some questions you guys have sent in. I have turned off the super chats because we had more than enough come in. But let's go over and take a look to see at some of the things you have been asking. And I believe we're starting off with Bry Guy. And yes, it is Bry Guy. And Bry Guy is writing, oops, and I forgot to turn on that camera, so that's fine. Bry Guy is writing, "There's a quick moment in episode 1 where the sheriff is on the phone and she says, 'Tell Barb I say hi.' Meant nothing until she revealed she's from Gotham." Because there's only one person in the world named Barbara. I don't believe she's talking to Commissioner Gordon. I think we're always looking for, because why would she be talking? Yeah, I think that's mean. There's a thing I've started using. There's a phrase, Rob, I've started using called meaning mining. where you're going mining for something to mean something. I honestly don't think it means anything. But Rob, some people think because she does mention she's from Gotham, that since Gotham only has a population of 16 people, that if she mentioned Barb, she must have been talking about Barbara Gordon. And she must have been talking to Commissioner Gordon, who is also a cop. I don't know. Do you buy into the theory?
I only because it's a DC show and they know by name checking characters like that. I believe she could indeed be talking to Barbara Gordon because she's a police officer.
Or they're talking about Barbara because you say hi to Barb for me. Maybe
right,
talking to Jim.
about. Yeah. I do believe that because if she was a cop, maybe she became, when Jim Gordon's the police commissioner, they developed a friendship. He was a mentor to her, and then she left for whatever reason, which we don't quite know yet. I could believe that's happening. I think that's kind of an interesting. I could see Jim Gordon taking a woman like her under his wing, and that would be kind of a nice little thing that they would do. But the thing is, to me, that's like, it's a DC universe movie, and she's a cop, and Jim Gordon's a cop. So it's not a big stretch that she would check in with him, especially if he mentored her in some way. So, but I don't think Batman's going to show up in this show because of it.
Here's what I think. Easter eggs, real Easter eggs, like actual ones little kids go and find. The Easter Bunny did not put it there, right? The parent goes out and plants it there so the kid can find it and think it's a magical experience. I think with that tell Barb I say hi thing at most is an artificially fake planted Easter egg just to get people talking. I don't think it actually meant anything. I don't think it was actually Commissioner Gordon. I think they just used the name Barb to get everybody go, oh, and start talking about it. I don't think it actually meant anything, but you never know. By episode 5, she could say, I got a friend named Jim back at the Gotham Police Force. Let me give him a call. And which would validate everything. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. All right. So that was Bry Guy. Next up, we got Orange Hand who said, I would love if our expectations were subverted and the Manhunter isn't someone we've already met, as many viewers are no doubt assuming. Oh yeah, listen, right now, Rob, we're only 2 episodes in. So the only suspects we have are the ones we've been introduced to, but being just 2 episodes in, it could literally be somebody we don't meet until episode 4 or 5. Hell, it could be the kid. It could be the kid throwing footballs for all we know. Right. I mean, but yes, I do believe, like, look, I still like the theory of John's dad and I still like the theory of the mom, but I think it's totally valid that it could absolutely, only being 2 episodes in, that it could be somebody we haven't met yet. What do you think?
I think you're right. I mean, it's, it's hard to say because I don't know what we're supposed to focus on yet. I mean, they're setting up already. There's a lot of intriguing things, the fact that can we say we're spoiling this? They introduced Sinestro in the end of the episode.
Right.
And Sinestro is a huge component of the Green Lantern mythology.
Well, he's the Joker. He's the Joker in Green Lantern's universe.
Yeah. So depending on what you're showing or what you're going to focus on or what we're going to see, I think it's early yet, to make assumptions or to think we know something or to think this, that, and the other thing, because I love the fact that Kelly MacDonald, right? It's Kelly MacDonald, who we first met in the movie Trainspotting, the actress who plays the sheriff.
I know more from Boardwalk, but yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I love her. She's incredible. But the fact that she just said, she flat out said, yeah, I know a lot more than you think I know. I don't know what to expect yet. And I kind of like that. When I went into the second episode, I didn't know what to expect. I really don't know where this show is going yet. And I'm looking at the Easter eggs. I'm looking at the little crumbs that they're dangling, because this show does require, your Lantern mythology. They are servicing longtime comic fans. And for people that say it's not the Green Lantern show that I want, I'm like, well, it is doing a lot of things that are comic book fan service, which I have to appreciate. So
All right, let's keep going here. Next up, we got another one from Orange Hand who's saying, did Secret Invasion fail? Why did Secret Invasion fail while Lanterns works? Oh, that's a totally different step, but because one show was good and the other one wasn't. I mean, it's just really just that simple. One show was good. If they were the exact same and people liked one and not the other, that's more of a discussion, but one show was good and one show was not. Raymond Verada writes, I think Earl, the plant, is a nod to Itty, Hal's tiny alien companion from the 1970s. Wouldn't have been awesome to see Mogo, the living planet, Mongo, the living planet, Mogo, the living planet. Neil deGrasse Tyson would have fits if a planet showing up on Earth. A lot of stuff in there. I'm not quite sure what to address. Listen, I got to tell you, Rob, I'm not familiar with Itty either.
I don't, when I was reading in Green Lantern when I was a kid in the 70s, I didn't read every issue, so I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to get really fantastical with a lot. Like, I think, yeah, we're going to see Hal go off to a prison planet and meet whatever, but I think on Earth, they're going to keep it feeling, despite the fact that we have a guy running around with a magical ring, I think they're going to keep it feeling as grounded as possible without bringing too much fantastical stuff into it on Earth. Even though we're dealing with a murder mystery about aliens.
Agreed.
All right. Thanks for that, Raymond. Next up, Amin writes, all the theories discussion is reminding me of when WandaVision released. Funny how both shows take place in a very odd town. Excited for the rest. But see, that's what a really great show should do. Like, I remember, Rob, when WandaVision came out, that's all everybody wanted to talk about for months. The 2 months that show was on air, every single day, it was about theories about WandaVision, thoughts about WandaVision, predictions about WandaVision. Everything is about that. And that's what a really good show like this, not a great comedy, but like a great show like this should do. It should have us thinking about it after we've seen it.
100%.
And having all these theories and wondering in Mr. X. And while I don't know, Rob, that it's on the same level that we had with WandaVision, there is that element there. Like, have you been sensing that too?
I have, because a lot of people are all discussing it. There's all this chatter, like what's going on. And I think that's good. I felt, look, I am no fan of like, I think Damon Lindelof is very, very hot and cold. But, to be fair, the DC Watchmen series was a very weird show, if you really look at it and what was going on. And I was vehemently opposed to it. And at first I was like primed to hate it. But as I watched it, I'm like, this is so weird and so off kilter that I have to respect what I'm watching.
I actually ended up loving it. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And so by the time I got to the end of it, I'm like, this is nothing like what I expected it to be. But I felt that it was very much worthwhile watching. And I kind of feel that this show is kind of cut from the same mold, that it's going in very, it's not what you would normally expect. I mean, Hal Jordan is not acting like Hal Jordan from a comic book. He's acting more like a person from, your crazy uncle who shows up at Thanksgiving dinner, but it makes him more human in a way.
Yeah.
And so I find it's made me off kilter because I don't know what to expect. And I like that. I like that. I don't know what to expect.
Let's keep going here. Next up, we got Final Cut writes, do you think the guys who kidnapped John, who had their planet destroyed by a manhunter, could possibly future Red Lanterns? That goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago, about how I don't see them getting way too much. I think they're going to use just as much intergalactic lore just to service the story that they have. I don't see them getting into Red Lantern, Sinestro Corps. I just don't, it doesn't feel like it would fit into this show. So my guess would be no, I don't think they would be. Rob, what do you think?
I agree. It's just too much. It's too much.
But I am fascinated to know more about them. I'm very fascinated to know more about them. All right. Let's see. What do we got up next? We got Vaz, who writes, hey, John, Who do you believe the employer is with the NDA? I think it's the Manhunter. Do you believe it's going to be an extremely extraterrestrial route or some agency we have already or yet to meet? Love the show. Well, I mean, and we could be wrong, but by the end of episode 2, I thought it became clear that the employer is the Manhunter. The Manhunter is the one looking out for the aliens coming to Earth to seek revenge on him. Right? I like it. It would be a Manhunter that would have the ability to provide such advanced technology that they have there, which is why Hal wants to take a look around the ranch to see what other technology you got here. No, you're not allowed to do that. Now, to me, it's so obvious that the employer is the Manhunter that it makes me wonder if it actually is a Manhunter. Like, it could be a big misdirect. Rob, so my thought right now is that the employer is clearly the Manhunter, whoever that is, but they might be making it so obvious it's the Manhunter that might be a big misdirect. What do you think about it?
Okay, this is totally off the wall.
All right.
Who requires NDAs?
Lawyers.
Corporations.
Yeah, corporations.
Lawyers, but corporations. Lex Luthor's the boss.
Wow. That's now, how old would our Lex Luthor be 10 years ago, though?
Maybe it's his father. Maybe
Lionel Luthor? Lionel Luthor involved?
Or maybe it's somebody, because if you think about it, I mean, Lex Luthor's in his Nicholas Hoult was in his mid-30s, and maybe he's always had the money. So why wouldn't LexCorp be at the cutting edge? I mean, where did LexCorp get his pocket universe technology in the first place?
Okay. Like, what I was about to say was that I think that's going way too off the ranch. Like you're trying to tell a Green Lantern story, right? To all of a sudden be going into Lex Luthor and blah, blah, blah. Now, that's what I was going to say. The one thing you said at the end there, though, that gives me pause was that great connection of, well, where did Lex get the pocket universe?
He says, Hal says it's a pocket universe. Just stick your hand in it and find it.
Yeah,
now,
so
am I saying that Lex Luthor is going to show up as a character? No.
I really don't think so.
But I do think that LexCorp as a company or something because why wouldn't, if there's a Manhunter coming to Earth, why wouldn't aliens be employing large technology companies on Earth? Because we're talking about it's all alien tech. And even Hal says there's some alien tech on this. What are they hiding? And we already know that they've got alien scanners, like who built those alien scanners?
That's why I think it's Manhunter. Like, because the Manhunter would have all that technology. And I think,
sure, but that would be the obvious answer.
Yes, which is the one thing that makes me think maybe it's not. But again, I think the Manhunter is on Earth, and all the Manhunter is, the only agenda the Manhunter has is to stay hidden. To not be found by these other aliens who might be coming hunting for them, but we'll find out. All right, let's keep going here. Next up, Final Cut writes, if James Gunn ends up leaving, If James Gunn ends up leaving in 2027, do you think the Lantern show would continue? Also, do you think Sinestro will form the Sinestro Corps by the end of the season? No. As far as the James Gunn thing goes, again, my thoughts on this, I've been pretty clear about. I believe if the Paramount deal goes through, and it very well may not, but if it does, James Gunn will exercise his contractual right in 2027 to leave. At that point, the new ownership will have to decide, do we want to continue on with whatever, with this DCU, or do we want to go back to the drawing board again and start over if James Gunn's not here to run it? I really don't know. And there's really no point in speculating about it at this point. We don't even know if Paramount's going to get control of it. And then if that happens, if James Gunn will actually decide to leave, which I think he will, and then what happens after that. So we're building a theoretical on a theoretical on a theoretical. And so there's really not much point in diving into that at this point. All right. Jared W. writes, do you think Bruce Wayne or Oliver Queen was the rich guy who bought Hal the house? Would be a nice link, but wonder if that would make them too old. Wouldn't necessarily make them too old. Well, actually, it would make them too old. I think it's a possibility, but again, uh, I, I think it's meaning mining. Like any rich guy on the earth must either be Oliver Queen or Bruce Wayne. Again, it's the DC universe. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but I think it's stretching. I feel like we're desperately trying to find a connection. Not everybody who wears the color green is the Green Arrow. Not everybody who is rich is Bruce Wayne. So I don't know, Rob, what do you think? Like, cause I just had this guy, I saved his life, and to finally make him feel better about it, I told him to buy me a house. Could it be somebody
No,
from the DCU?
no, I think that was just some throwaway comment. I don't think everything, like you said, I love the idea of meaning mining. I think you can't assume that every single utterance that people make is some reference or Easter egg to the DC universe, because that would dilute the story they're trying to tell. And I think that it's not like we're already talking about Barbara Gordon and Jim Gordon and Gotham and this and that. I think that what you need to concentrate on is, what is the story being told? And you should always think about it in relation to the they've gone deep into Green Lantern lore. So I would always look to the lore first and then extrapolate if necessary.
All right, let's move on to this now. We move on to Amin, who writes, the big question is Hal actually dead, or was that an alien? In the podcast, one of the creators said Guy Gardner actually has Hal's ring. Oh, you know what? I've been meaning to check out the podcast, but I have not. I have not checked out the podcast. So that answers the question I brought up earlier. Is Guy's ring Hal's ring? Although I don't believe it looks the same as Hal's ring did, but whatever, maybe the ring morphs to fit the user. Who knows? I mean, yes, we have several huge dangling questions right now. Only 2 episodes in. Who is the Manhunter? Was that actually Hal's body at the end? Why are there multiple Green Lanterns running around? Who is the employee? Like, I love that we're only 2 episodes in and we already have this many questions about it. So, Rob, we already kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but are you and I both kind of we may get to the end of this and find out, nope, that's indeed Hal Jordan. He got murdered and dropped there. Are we both on the same page that right now, we may change our minds up after episode 3 or 4, but is it fair to say right now we're both kind of suspecting that wasn't actually Hal Jordan's body frozen there? Or are you thinking that maybe it is right now?
No, I'm thinking that it's not. I'm thinking that it's not actually Hal Jordan himself, because you're dealing with an iconic DC character and you're dealing with the DC universe they're trying to build, and assume that the shenanigans with Paramount isn't happening and you want to continue on that universe. Why would you want to kill a legacy character that there's a lot of merchandising of and a lot of comic books with? So I'm thinking, no, it's not Hal. All
right, let's move on to the next one here. Next one we've got is also from Amin. I think it's safe to assume the bald guy is Atrokitus. That's also a name I'm not familiar with. Rob, are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, he's a big bad character. But yeah, I don't know. Is it Atroticus? I always said Atroticus. I don't know. But I look, again, you're going deep into the Green Lantern lore, and I think, remember, there's already so much of it, and these are characters that have lasted a long time. But like, even the Sinestro Corps wasn't created until 2006, and he's the leader of the Red Lanterns, and all of that is not classical Green Lantern mythology. All of that is latter 21st century Green Lantern mythology. It's just too much. You have to start explaining. I mean, maybe we'll hear about the yellow ring, but you're not going to hear anything about other than the Green Lantern's ring, because the spectrum of lanterns comes way later. There's no way they're going to get into that in an 8 episodes show.
All right, let's keep going here. Next up, we got Bry Guy. Do you think Hal being dead is legitimate or misdirect? Have a feeling it's legit. I'm leaning, because the way they planted exactly how many races have the ability to totally mimic humans, and then later in the show we have that. I mean, again, it absolutely could be legit, but we'll find out. We may change our opinions as we start. Right now, I'm suspecting it's an alien, but we'll change our opinion probably 50 times as the show progresses. Harv's K writes, let the guessing game of who the Manhunter is commence. I think John may have slept with one. Plus more of the green birdie, please. He needs a name. Well, the bird's gone now. Don't forget that. He deconstructed the bird, so the bird is gone. But yeah, I mean, Rob, that is one of the prevailing theories, that it's the wife. It's her. And that brings into question then, is Jason Ritter really their kid? Are they not? Are there more in this town? Is it really just the town living with one alien running around? I don't know.
Well, is the town even real?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not convinced necessarily that, because the town certainly is really weird. I mean, you've got the people running on a ranch. They're like, you're not coming on my ranch, and they're willing to shoot a Green Lantern. You know, I mean, it's and when you wander around, you've got these. It's not like you've got, although we did see a football game, and we did see the town,
Yeah.
you know, the whole town turn out, but who knows? I don't know. And like, look, if Hal Jordan wanted to fake his own death and make somebody look like him, and that was the person that was killed and left him behind and didn't want to leave, faked his own death and leave, that could be true too. Who knows?
Listen, the theory about if the town is even real or not, I mean, it would answer a lot of questions like Hal going through the city and seeing absolutely nobody. Like, I get it. There was a big town meeting, but there was literally nobody on the streets anywhere. He goes in the hospital. There's literally nobody in the hospital. I mean, so it could lend some credence to that. All right, next up, Mr. Hank Dunn writes, yep, I'm at that point now. When I read a comic and Hal Jordan shows up, I hear Chandler's voice. Brolin would have been good, but Chandler's perfect. And you know what, Rob? That's one of the things I said after the first episode was, you know what? I love Josh Brolin. Love him. Too. But the moment they said Kyle Chandler was going to be Hal Jordan, I instantly was like, well, this is the better fit. I'm not saying Kyle Chandler's better than Josh, but I immediately thought Kyle Chandler's the better fit for a character like this. Don't get me wrong. Brolin would have been masterful, I'm sure. But especially after watching the first episode, I'm like, yep. And you know what? He's not wrong. I am going to start thinking whenever I'm reading anything with Green Lantern from now, I'm going to start thinking in Kyle Chandler's voice after just 2 episodes. I don't know. Look, we were going to get Josh Brolin in the role. We've got Kyle Chandler. How do you feel that's worked out?
Oh, dude, Coach Taylor. I love Kyle Chandler. I mean, when he would show up in bit parts in the movies like the remake of Day the Earth Stood Still, I've always loved Kyle Chandler. But to me, he's the Captain Kirk of East Texas football. I mean, I love Coach Taylor, and Kyle Chandler can do no wrong. And he's clearly having a ball playing this part.
Oh, yeah. He's having a good time playing it. All right, let's move on here. Howell Lord said, will we see Red Lanterns? We've already kind of touched on that. We don't think so. I mean, it just seems like it's trying to throw too much stuff into the sauce at this point, so I don't think so. But again, never know. Who knows where they go in episode 3 and 4? It could bust the whole thing wide open. Zach Taylor writes, well, we know why Hal asked about Obama and Harry Potter when interrogating Wayland. Is that an inside thing?
No, well, I mean, I think that, look, it was 2016.
Yeah.
That's what he would ask about, because the funny thing about that is he was asking about 2 huge pop culture things that were going on at the time. You know, there was a lot of the right wing was not happy with Obama as president. So and I've heard some people say it was like, to me, from a writing standpoint, they needed to touch on something that the audience would understand. Obama's a big deal, and because still to this day, he's being referenced by our president now, and Harry Potter's still a big deal, and it has been a big deal for,
by the way, Warner Brothers property.
So again, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's like Obama and Larry David, you know, again, there's a little HBO synergy there, but to me, those things were if you're trying to question somebody about what's going on in 2020, I mean,
but I got to bring this up. I got to bring up this comment. I didn't see this at all. It says he had photos with Harry Potter cast and Obama at his house.
Yep.
I saw the one with him and not was it the Pope? I saw the one. I didn't see the one with him and Obama though. I didn't even
Yeah,
notice
I mean,
that.
and the fact that he asks about the president at the time is
Yes.
is just period specific. It's about as broad as you can get. There was no the fact that people think about it, some political statement. It's absolutely not a political statement.
No, no. And by
It's
the way,
more of a
that's what
statement
it
on a
wasn't the
small
Pope.
town that
It was George Bush. That's the one I saw. That I recognized that picture. It wasn't the Pope. It was that one. Anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done the way they did that. All right. Let's see here. Alan writes, will you be doing the meet? I'm not talking. We're talking about lanterns right now. Emmanuel writes in and sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Emmanuel. I'm absolutely in love with this show and how it's treating all the superhero stuff as just a day-to-day thing while still escalating the stakes. The next episode looks to be driving into John's origins and looks so good. It does. And again, I even just think that one thing about you've got 48 hours, it just adds so much more tension and it increases the stakes. It makes consequences. It means there's now the living tension in the show. They're working against the clock. They're on a timeline. And I really love the way they did that, like a lot. Now, I haven't seen, Rob, the preview for the next episode yet. I know it's out, but I've been like working nonstop today, so I haven't had a chance to see it. Have you seen the preview for the next episode yet?
Yeah. It looks quite interesting.
Is it going back to 2006? Is it going back to John's childhood?
That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like, because they did show clips of his dad again.
Oh, okay.
So maybe.
All right, that would be great. And Manuel, thank you so much for writing that in. And yes, it looks. I mean, I've seen some preview stuff for later in the season, but I haven't seen the one specifically for next week. And everything is looking so good right now. All right, Miguel writes, Earl Jordan equals Frank the Plant from Harley Quinn. That is honestly, Miguel, the first thought I had. It really, I mean, obviously it's not the same thing, but it was my very, very first thought when I saw the damn thing. All right, Emmanuel writes, the moment where Hal takes his ring back from John and his construct doesn't fade reminded me of when Thor saw Cap move his hammer in Age of Ultron. Yeah. That really did ring of that. And again, a little bit of messianic foreshadowing, as in like Neo, the one kind of thing, the chosen one, the little Harry Potter lightning bolt on his head, something like that. Obviously, they're implying something grander. And so it's just going to be interesting to see, like, regardless of the animated show or the comics, to see how they're going to handle that. Zach Taylor writes, I think the sheriff is the Manhunter. When they go through the hospital and Hal is questioning the sign-out sheet and machines and the sheriff is kind of oblivious. I mean, again, to me, Rob, the idea of her being the Manhunter is kind of thrown out at the end when she's still there, right? Right. Although maybe she is the Manhunter and he knows she's the Manhunter and she's still there. I don't think it is. But she did kind of make it clear to Hal when he woke up in the hospital, was like, look, I'm actually I figured out a lot more stuff here and I understand a lot more stuff here than you think I do. So I don't know though. What do you think about the notion though, that maybe she herself is the Manhunter and she ultimately becomes an ally that then calls John 10 years later? I don't know. What do you think?
Look, I think that could very well be, knowing Damon Lindelof. It wouldn't surprise me that he casts her as the quote unquote Manhunter. Although maybe she's actually an alien herself and she's got a beef with the Manhunter and she's playing her own game, because she seems like she knows what's up. She knows, like, don't talk to my father-in-law. Don't do it. Don't go. So she knows what's going on, but she's also playing everything close to the vest. And if she turns out to be the big bad in the show, I mean, the Manhunters were always like, there's no good Manhunters. If you read the Millennium Trilogy, the Millennium Trilogy, I was thinking about Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. The Millennium comics, the big Millennium crossover where the Manhunters played a key role. They're bad. And I don't see her, unless she's going to do a big villain turn. I don't see that happening. I don't think she's the Manhunter.
Or is it going to be one of those things where the Manhunter, like, remember what they said was the Lantern said they were going to execute them, but we believe the Lanterns let them go. Well, if maybe it was maybe it was the one good Manhunter who did not ultimately lead to destruction, and she's an ally now.
I never thought about that. You could be very right about that.
So we'll see. I still like the idea of Grandma being the Manhunter, or John's dad, but actually maybe the sheriff is an option there. All right. Captain Longtongue writes, the Manhunters, which are androids, destroyed Atrocity's homeworld. I truly believe Antan is Atrocity's leader of the Red Lanterns. Again, I just think that's going too fantastical at this point. I think it's going too fantastical at this point. However, that being said, there's no doubting the blueprint similarities. I think there's no doubting the blueprint similarities. And maybe it's just some very, very early groundwork they're laying down for something later on. But at this point, only being 2 episodes in and not knowing what the future is, I still don't think it's going to have anything to do with Red Lanterns. But Rob, maybe it's just little things that are there to give people who know more about the older lore to recognize. Maybe it's laying early foundational stuff for something they're going to come back and revisit 3 years from now.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, but I just don't see them going too fantastical. Yeah.
Plus, you have to explain then the whole spectrum of lantern light, and there's a lot of world building that would have to go into that I just don't think that they're doing here with this show. I think that, sometimes you got to stay a little focused. They're not going to bring in every bit of Green Lantern lore into 8 episodes of television. So,
all right. Next up, we got Final Cut writes, will other color lanterns be introduced? I doubt it. I don't think so. Like this show is a murder mystery that happens in this small town. And there are some influences from outside that are bearing down on it, but I don't think this is going to become a big intergalactic thing at this point. I think they said from the beginning, Rob, that this was going to be True Detective meets Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And I think they're really any fantastical stuff that they do have is all going to be in service to the more grounded thing that's going on. Now, again, could be totally wrong. I have no insider information. I haven't read the script of this thing. It could be by episode 6, it could be totally fantastical. And It's going to be interesting to see if they take us there, and if they do, how they get there. But you're asking, so my thought right now is I don't think they're going to go that way. I think it's going to continue to have a very True Detective kind of feel, more mystery, more grounded, with these fantastical elements only painting color to it. I don't know. What do you see the future of that?
Well, you just pointed out, it is a murder mystery, and we do have to keep it. The audience has to be, they have to be able to follow this and have there's got to be a gratified end to this story. You have to feel that when you're watching a murder mystery, it's only as good as the resolution is when everything is finally revealed. And I think
Lost is a great example of when it goes wrong.
It goes wrong. Yeah. And we're 25% through this story.
Is it 8 episodes?
It's 8 episodes.
It is 8 episodes. Okay.
So, I think in the next 2 episodes, I mean, with a show like this, you have to set everything up. So I don't include that as like Act 1 yet. Act 1 is extended. And I think that the next 2 episodes are going to put what's going on into much more focus. And that's where the next 2 episodes, so episodes 5 and 6 are going to be Act 2, and then 6 and 7 are Act 3, really. And I think that you still need to make the audience understand what's going on. You've set up, it doesn't matter whether it's aliens or not. It can be foreign agents. Everybody understands that. There are people that don't belong in this town.
Right.
There are people that are in this town that clearly have secrets to hide. So it's very classical.
And now this town's in danger because these guys might blow it up.
Yeah, and you never know what's going on. There's something happening here that has ramifications, not just for this town, but for the rest of the world. So that's why a Green Lantern needs to be involved. And I think, though, that as like any great HBO story, we will get some moments that we're not expecting. We're going to get some revelations that are going to be really surprising. And ultimately, we're going to hopefully get a very satisfying superhero story out of all of it. So I just don't think there's going to be a lot more of the DC universe touched on. I think they're going to develop further what we already have. And the fact that we ended with Sinestro, you do have to explain what he is, who and what he is. And, not everyone saw the movie, and certainly not everyone read the Sinestro Cold War.
They brilliantly already did that, right? In the hospital, like with just a quick couple of lines of dialogue. Let's say you're a viewer of HBO, you've never read Green Lantern, don't know anything about him. In that one quick exchange, she fully laid out the history of Sinestro. You had a guy who was a Green Lantern, decided to rebel, tried to take over, killed one of the Guardians, you took him down, and now he's in prison. Just like that. They just completely explained Sinestro.
And then you meet him.
Yes.
And then you meet him. So they set up payoff. So it's
going to be interesting to see how they go from here. All right, guys, that will wrap up our little discussion about Lanterns. We are loving this show so far. Maybe it comes off the rails and maybe it goes to crap. Who knows? But so far for me, so damn good. I love it. And I'm sure in episode 3, we might get a couple of answers followed up by 5 more questions that we're going to have. And I cannot wait. Rob, thank you for joining me on this. I guess we're going to talk to you tomorrow on the John Campea Show in the morning.
Excited. Thanks for having me on this after show. I'm really loving this show, and I hope everybody delves into it, because if nothing else, it's pretty compelling television.
I'm loving it so far. And then, of course, we will be back again next week on Monday night for the next post-game show for Lanterns. Guys, thanks a lot for joining us here tonight. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.